all of these things come as a jarring sense of what we were not told. Can you tell us, is any of this true?
It's all wrong. I started reading the article last night. I got a third of the way through and I stopped because every sentence I was reading was wrong. The source that Hersh talked to has no idea what he's talking about.
You know who the source is?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But the person obviously was not close to what actually happened.
Well, there you go. Former acting director of the CIA, Michael Morell, there on CBS, responding to veteran journalist Seymour Hersh's explosive new account, claiming that the White House lied about the entire mission to kill Osama bin Laden. And that's where we'll start our roundtable. Let's go ahead and bring in our first guest. We are joined by columnist for Newsday and radio and television commentator Ellis Henican. We also have Boston criminal defense attorney Geoffrey Nathan joining us via Skype from Boston. It's good to have you both with us.
Hey, how are you? Good day.
All right, Ellis, let's start with you, and then we'll get your take on this, Geoffrey. Seymour Hersh has long been a critic of the bin Laden raid. He's described it as one big lie to The Guardian back in 2013. But this account has been attributed to a single source. It was not published by the New Yorker.
Unnamed source, too.
Unnamed source.
Right.
Where Hersh, and it was also not published by the New Yorker. The White House, the Pentagon, the CIA, O'Neill, the Navy SEAL who actually fired the fatal shot. They've all discounted this. Ellis, who do you believe?
Well, we got to unpack it. There's not a simple answer to this, right? I mean, Seymour Hersh has a terrific reputation. He's done some of the greatest investigative work of his generation, right? My Lai, Abu Ghraib. I mean, you could just tick off the successes. That said, I'm skeptical because in order for this to be true, dozens, maybe hundreds of people would have to have been lying to us. I know as a lifelong reporter that sometimes a few people will lie. Pretty tough to get 100 people to lie. Yeah. So I'd say I approach it with skepticism, but you know, there's a little piece in the back of my mind that says, hey, you know, that Hersh guy is often telling the truth.
Geoffrey, what do you think? Can you believe Seymour Hersh in this case?
Absolutely not, and it's libelous, it's slander. I don't know what's happened to this particular reporter who has authored some of the seminal pieces in American journalistic history, but this one goes down as an absolute fraud. Maybe he's hurting in his ratings too.
Yeah.
So why risk it though?
Because he has nothing else to do to try and grab some acclaim to fame. I don't know why anyone would run with just one source who can't be verified.
Yeah, and it also says a lot too now about how that.
Hold on a second, guys. I mean, seriously. I mean, we in journalism often deal with unnamed sources, sometimes even solo unnamed sources.
But this isn't journalism.
He
though,
may
Ellis.
be wrong.
It's a story.
No, I mean, listen. Yeah, but you know, I mean, investigative work is complicated.
It is.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of reason to be skeptical, but it's not as easy to just say, "Oh, it's an unnamed source. We shouldn't believe it." Journalism is more complicated.
But I think it is important if you have one unnamed source. Is it not? Even you, who really you like this journalist. You were sitting there talking about it. He's broken this story, he's broken that story. But even you are a little hesitant to say whether or not you believe his story. But why?
Yeah, because I have a BS detector that tells me to be a little careful.
There's a lot that just doesn't pass the smell test.
We may never know. So, but if we do find out, or let's say this does turn out to be true, how damaging do you think this
I don't think it will be. I think it all just goes, it's water under the bridge and people move on, and we might want to move on too, because I got another topic we want to talk about. Yesterday we heard of this threat from ISIS, a cyber threat, numerous jihadists online uploading images of weapons, explosives. They issued warnings with the hashtag London attack. That attack was supposed to play out at 2 p.m. yesterday. But there was no attack, and the internet kind of responded like, So we got to this point. We have, of course, the concern. You look at what happened in Texas. There needs to be awareness about these lone wolf attacks. But where is the line between raising concern about lone wolf attacks and crying wolf, Ellis?
There is no line. I mean, that's what makes it hard, right? It's all blurry. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not true. The danger of the lone wolves is they can pop up from anywhere at any time. And the good news about them is a lot of them are nothing. So, I mean, that's what makes it so hard. There is no line.
Geoffrey, do we do them a favor when we pay attention to these so-called warnings?
You do, but then the issue from my perspective, as I've been saying all along, is when and if you catch these hooligans and thugs who want to do harm to America, do we really want to just continue to prosecute them in the United States District Courts, or do we set up a separate terrorism court to try them in? And that's what I'd like to see this country do soon.
Yeah, we know President Obama is working still to try and close Guantanamo Bay with more transfers, and that might be that solution, that middle ground, because there's still a reluctancy from a lot of these congressmen don't want these terrorists in their own districts where a lot of these prisons are.
But as we've talked about several times on the show, as soon as they take down one website, another one pops up.
Whack-a-mole.
I mean,
that's what we got.
Right.
That's
it's very difficult to take control of it.
Yep. And we're going to come back, and we got more to get to. Ellis, Henican, and Geoffrey Nathan are going to stick around with us. We want to talk about some unruly New York teens intent on destroying their own city. Are the kids all right, or should they be facing harsher punishments for what they're doing in New York? We'll talk about that, and our roundtable comes back. Plus, we're going to have another look at your international headlines with the latest coming out of Nepal, another devastating earthquake. Last I heard, more than a dozen people killed. This follows that other earthquake. More than 10,000 folks have died so far.
7.3 earthquake, and there was actually an avalanche. We're going to show you video of that, but just so sad what's going on, and it makes rescue efforts even more difficult because of those aftershocks. Still more to come. You're watching Newsmax Now. We'll be right back.
Back with you for more of the Roundtable. Boston criminal defense attorney Geoffrey Nathan, columnist for Newsday, and radio and television commentator Ellis Henican, along with John Bachman and Miranda Kahn. We'll talk about those kids in New York up to no good, but first we want to talk about Baltimore State Attorney Marilyn Mosby appearing on stage with Prince during a song, or performance of a song that Prince wrote in honor of Freddie Gray. According to the Baltimore Sun, Mosby's husband gave her those tickets as a gift for Mother's Day. But that state attorney has also been accused of having a conflict of interest in this case, and not just a little one. Ellis, does this move add legitimacy to those conflict of interest claims?
I got to say, John, it seems a little cozy to me. I mean, it does make me uncomfortable, but I would try to broaden the discussion a little bit. Usually in these cases, it's the other side that the prosecutors tend to be close to, right? You've got the DA showing up at the PBA meeting and hanging around with cops and depending on police to make his other cases. So either we ought to get a lot stricter on these conflict of interests across the board, or we ought to say, hey, whatever, the people elected her to be the prosecutor there, and they knew what they were getting, and there it is.
Well, Geoffrey, as a criminal defense attorney, does it bother you a little bit to see this? I mean, and it also does to you. Does it show her perhaps lack of experience in public perception?
Well, she really, first of all, is from my alma mater, Boston College Law School, so I don't want to say anything totally negative, but I will say this. She has handed the defense team the ball Brady style, and they're going to deflate it as best they can and use it to their client's best interests.
Nicely played there with those pun of words over there. Let's switch gears now. Yesterday, surveillance footage was released showing a group of New York teens attacking people in Central Park. Now there's another group causing chaos in the city. Take a look.
It's Valerie. Your hand's gonna get dirty. Who gives a shit? I don't wanna get dirty. Titan, get up, Donnie, get up.
Well, this is a YouTube video, and it's showing teens roaming around the abandoned parts of the city's railway system. This group says they're on a mission to vandalize the subway system. Police believe these vandals caused an explosion in a New York subway last week. So I have to ask you, let's start with you, Ellis. How should authorities respond to young adults becoming increasingly more destructive? What's going on here?
Well, they should use the law. I mean, arrest them. All this stuff is against the law. It all carries serious criminal penalties. Be a little careful pretending this is a trend, because all the crime numbers in New York are still extremely low by historic standards.
Maybe not just in New York,
let's not try to turn this into some kind of crime wave, because it really isn't.
No, we know that crime has been down. We've reported it several times here at Newsmax. But
when you look at it also, guys, when you look at unemployment among young Americans, I mean, I don't want to make this particular case with these New York teens a trend, but I think it is, Geoffrey, fair to say that there perhaps are more disaffected youth in this country, and that is potentially a powder keg.
Oh, it's huge, because there's the wave of youths who have nowhere to go, nothing to do, and are all non-void. You know, we have to figure out a way to reallocate our financial resources away from the fat cats and down into the urban areas, because if we don't do something to restructure society's outweighed income for the upper 1% and get some income down below, we're going to be in huge trouble, because we don't have the resources to prosecute all these kids. How's that? We just don't.
Well, and speaking of that, you said process all these kids. Let's talk a little bit about incarceration. It's been, a lot of our politicians have been talking about it, that it's a huge problem. So what are your thoughts, Geoffrey?
to restructure the tax code to mandate that the millionaires and billionaires do something for this country that has been so good for them and get this income down into the urban areas so that these kids have a chance, so they don't wind up being proud of the fact that they're served a sentence and now they're on parole.
Geoffrey and Ellis, and you guys probably both agree on what Geoffrey is saying here, but there has been lots of money thrown at these urban areas without much success to show for it. The whole war on poverty, we can go back to that. Is it time maybe to start from scratch?
I mean, I thought Geoffrey was positively eloquent right there. Just write down what he said. Listen to him.
But Ellis, I mean, again, and people talk specifically about Baltimore. There have been a number of federal, state, and local programs specifically designed to stop what occurred prior to the riots that we just saw recently, but yet it's
let's agree that this is a failure, right? That there are too many young people with too little to do and too much criminality. Now some of it we can blame government for, but let's blame a lot of it on the private sector. I mean, those people don't have jobs. Where's free enterprise getting in there and providing decent employment for all those kids? Let's spread this blame around a little bit where it belongs.
Well, we know President Obama is talking about this very subject today at Georgetown University. We checked in on that not too long ago, but certainly a topic that we'll hear more about on the campaign trail as well, guys, I'm sure. President Obama saying, highlighting some of the same aspects you guys just talked about. He doesn't have any leadership in Congress to back him, but do you think he can do anything with about 20 seconds left to go? Real quick answer from both of you, with 2 years left in his term.
He can try to be an inspiration. What he's able to accomplish with his inspirational remarks, probably not that much, unfortunately.
All right, Ellis, about 20 seconds.
Go, executive order, go. Do what you can, Mr. President. You've still got a lot of power. Don't be a wimp in these last months and year, right?
All right, we'll see if the GOP tries to stop him. Guys, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for joining us. Ellis Henican and Geoffrey Nathan, thank you both for joining us on our roundtable discussion. Still more to come. You're watching Newsmax Now.